Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to the second ever Faction War. Now today's Faction War is going to be Undertale CrossOver versus My Hero Academia. This has absolutely no reason to happen other than both of these factions have 13 total members. So let's go over our matchups. First up is going to be Max versus Kita. Max is a basic swordsman and Kita is a basic archer. Next up is Apple versus Villain Kita. This is just straight up in order of their pricings. Apple strikes down with lightning, and that's pretty much it, while Kita has the bomb bow. Next up is Skelness versus Himiko Toga. Skelness is still, even after his poor performance in the season end tournament, the #1 ranked player in the league. Toga can teleport behind him though, so I don't know how well that's gonna go. Next up is Arthur versus Izawa. Izawa pulls them in and just kind of is more useful in a group because then they can just keep dragging opponents around. Whereas Arthur flows towards them and then starts melee. Next up is Rotten versus Uraka. Uraka has the Banshee abilities as well as Ice Storm for whatever reason I gave it to her. Rotten punches things really hard. Next up is Dobby versus Steven, probably the two strongest people on the field. I know Skelness is the #1 ranked player, but that means nothing. Anyway, they're both fire boys. Next up is Chasm-Tail Kara versus Todoroki. Todoroki has fire and ice. Chasm floats. Next up is Slowpoke versus Izuku Midoriya. Slowpoke is meant to be a joke unit that gets stronger as the season progresses, whereas Izuku punches things real hard. Sage versus Shigeraki. Sage can create clones of herself and jump around. Shigeraki is just pretty much just really good at melee. Next up, Isaac versus Bakugo. Isaac floats around with his, sword casting, dealing constant DPS. Bakugo is pretty much just explosive Midoriya for this moment. Next up is Danielle versus Brony. Brony is a sensei, but reskinned to throw lightning bolts and is our Kaminari, whereas Danielle is new and improved to deal even more damage. Rink versus All Might. Rink's very tanky, floats around with some basic melee weapons. All Might just punches things really hard. And finally, Epic Shift Kara versus All For One. All For One has too many abilities to count, and honestly, Epic Shift Kara kinda does as well. So with that being said, let's start things off with Max versus Kita. Okay, good. That actually does like no damage. That's really surprising. Oh my. Let's see if that can happen again. That was incredibly close, honestly. That one was not. Oh, she actually landed her first shot. That means something, probably. MHA takes the first matchup. Next up is going to be Apple versus Villain Kita for the second matchup. Well, I thought I was gonna have to do this with, the normal rule. It's 3v3. It's 1v1 now. Villain Kita takes battle #1. I was gonna say, how did none of them actually physically die from that one? That one did a lot more. It's 2v2. This could go either way, honestly. Oh no. MHA takes battle number 2. Let's move on to the next one. I'm a little terrified of actually running this one because something like that's gonna happen. Let's see if we can change that a bit by moving some of them back. Can I have Skelly win this at any point? It's not even fair numbers now. No, he does not have the health necessary to win this. MHA is going to take our third battle. Next up is going to be Arthur versus Izama. It's probably going to take a while, no matter who wins. It looks like Arthur is going to get Undertale CrossOver our first win, actually. And we don't need to do a second battle of that. Undertale CrossOver takes this round. Next up is Uraka versus Rotten. We may have to run this a few times because that may, or I was gonna say that may kill them all. It didn't. They are getting in there a bit and causing some damage. What's interesting here is that Rotten is essentially just a soft version and a female version of what All Might does. So this is a bit of a look into the future, I guess. Uraka takes this round. Next up is Steven versus Dobby. Now they're all enraged already. They can't get in. Let's see what happens if we make it a 2v1 just in general. Doesn't Rage give its movement speed buff anymore? They still just can't get in. MHA takes the rounds, but I still want to see if, you know, spreading them out does what it should. I doubt it because of how bad the Fireball throw AI is. Yeah, it's not going to do anything. God. This isn't going to go well, I'm going to tell you that much right now. Chasm versus Todoroki. Wait, can they hover over the firestorm? It doesn't matter anyway. They can't hover over the breath. Let's slim this down a bit. We've slimmed it down into 4 versus 3. Yeah, Chasm's also fast enough to just kind of say no. Yeah. That's what? The 6th MHA win. If they win a few more, it's already over. So let's move on. Next up is our joke unit of Slowpoke versus Izuku. Oh yeah, this is gonna take a while. We'll be back. Izuku's gonna take it again. That gives MHA their 7th win of the faction war. Next matchup is going to bring us to Sage versus Shigeraki. Just hope they can create enough clones. Oh, their slash didn't appear to actually do much. Their Banshee Scream's actually doing more. What a dodge. Oh no. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Well, there goes one stage. There goes the second stage. We're done here. MHA has taken another battle, another win, giving them 8, and technically giving them the entire batch. But let's see how many they get. Next up is going to be Izuku versus Bakugo. That whole thing doesn't really matter. What does matter is, can they keep them back long enough with the swords, or will they need to? Well, one Bakugo goes down, and they didn't really do all that much damage to all the Izuks. Now all 5 of them are just pelting this one Bakugo. He's dead now. And the last Bakugo is not having a very good time here. He is also dead. Izuku gives Undertale CrossOver their second win. Next up is going to be Danielle versus Brony. They can't get in, can they? No, they absolutely can't get in. It's too much lightning. Let me see what happens when we do that. Oh yeah, they can. Oh, it 2-shots them. I might have to change that eventually, because that's a bit much. And Brony's gonna give. Actually, no, that. Yeah, that's the 9th win for MHA. We'll see, next match. So next up is Rink versus All Might. Gonna probably land a few direct hits, and we're all but done here. Because Rink doesn't have a high damage output, she's just very tanky. Matches with Rink are gonna tend to take a while, some of the longest in the tournament, as she has like among the highest HP in the league. But against high damaging attacks, such as, you know, the Ice Giant Punch, it just doesn't matter. There goes 3 Rinks, and now we're down to 1. We got 2 of them halfway down. See you next match. And our final 1v1 match is going to be between Epic Shift Kara and All for One. Now this isn't going to go well, as, you know, they can just keep raising Epic Shift on the spikes. Chasms are dead, and Chasms are the heavy lifters here. And there goes the last one. We'll see you next match. So, we're on to our faction versus faction, and there was a 4,000 price difference, so we'll go ahead and start off with it being all 13 versus all 13. God, that Legacy Impale is so strong. Toga's super dead over there. All for One's dead as well. Danielle's still gotten some heavy damage output. It's just Danielle and Epic Shift left. God, is she putting up? She's putting up one hell of a fight. The last one to go down. And so let's see if we can change some things, shall we? We're gonna add in Danielle and the Skill Nest to get things pretty even here. And so let's see what happens when, you know, we have a lot more people. Oh, wait a minute. No, wait. We gotta remove all for one, and then to make it fair, we'll remove that as well, and run. Because what happens is another glitch happens where All Might dies and just repeatedly uses his ability. It's really, really unfair. You saw it happen in the Struggles of Smoking daily tournament that I did a while ago. Skelly's dead over there. All Might's in just a massive mix over there. Alright. Well, we're down a lot already. Are you really? Alright, well, we're down to the last two of Danielle and Rink. Danielle's dead. Oh, it's just Rink left. You know that. Oh, that's so much lightning. I'm gonna have to change that come the halfway through season balance changes. But obviously MHA wins this faction war with a record of 12 wins to 2 losses. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.